Welcome to Wisdom Uploaded. Okay, if you run a business or maybe you manage marketing, you know this feeling, this specific frustration. You're spending hours, maybe paying a team, crafting content, and it looks like success, right? Thousands of likes, comments, maybe wow, 50,000 views on that reel. But then you check the bottom line. Sales, flat, nothing. There's just this wild disconnect between all those engagement metrics and actual revenue.
It really is the most common roadblock we see. Businesses are pouring so much time, so much energy into these platforms that really should be primary sales engines. But it's like they forgot to, well, install the cash register. They're running this huge marketing campaign, kind of hoping customers will magically figure out how to buy. What's really crucial to understand now is that social media platforms, they aren't just for branding anymore. They're where people discover things, research, and yes, actually buy.
So if your whole social media setup is just about brand awareness, maybe some entertainment, you're basically giving away free content. High quality stuff, sure, but it just keeps people scrolling on Meta or TikTok. It doesn't pull them over to your website to where they can actually, buy something.
That's the core misunderstanding right there.
Yeah.
You end up optimizing for the platform's goals, keeping users engaged there, not your own business goals. But the good news, and this is what we really want to get into today, is that the audience, they're already there. And the tools, the commerce features, they're built in too. We just need to flip that switch in mindset. Move away from thinking it's a popularity contest and start building a clear, effective sales machine, one that's empathetic too.
Okay, let's unpack that, starting with that fundamental shift. The mindset. It feels like we've all been, I don't know, trained to celebrate the wrong things online. Are we actually tracking metrics that pay the bills?
Well, we call them vanity metrics for a reason, don't we? Likes, follower counts.
Right.
They feel good. Definitely show some awareness, yeah. But often, they're worse than useless. They're actually an algorithmic distraction. Think about it. When you chase likes, you optimize content for, like, maximum shareability. But doing that often dilutes your actual sales message, which, ironically, confuses the algorithm about what you really want, which is sales, not just eyeballs.
Oof. Yeah, it's kind of painful to realize you might have been putting on a great show for years. The audience loved it, but nobody knew where the ticket booth was.
Precisely. We've literally seen accounts, huge ones, 100,000 followers struggling to break even. Meanwhile, their competitor, maybe with only 5,000 followers, but they're highly engaged buyers, is consistently pulling in 6 figures a month. The difference isn't the crowd size. It's the quality, the intent of that crowd, and crucially, what metrics the business is actually tracking.
Right. So we need to stop celebrating just the engagement rate and switch focus entirely. Revenue metrics. Give us the non-negotiables, what absolutely has to be tracked.
Okay, number 1. Click-through rate, your CTR, specifically to your product pages. How many people are actually leaving social to look at your stuff? Then, the conversion rate from that specific social traffic. Are they buying once they get there? And, critically, your customer acquisition cost, or CAC. How much time and money does it cost you to get one new customer from, say, Instagram? And maybe the ultimate check, revenue per follower. Divide your total social revenue by your follower count. Those numbers, they dictate strategy. Awareness metrics, they just don't.
That really clarifies the stakes. Like that example of the fashion boutique, 20,000 followers, tons of likes. But their website traffic was almost non-existent from social.
Yeah, because there was zero guidance, no product tags in posts, no clear call to action, the famous CTA. They were just sort of hoping for magic. Now contrast that with their competitor, only 2,000 followers, maybe less. But they use shoppable tags on nearly every post, every story. Their bio link went straight to their bestsellers, the high-margin items. That small account is operating like a sales channel, the big one. More like a hobby, honestly.
Okay, that brings us neatly to point 2 then. Treating your profile, the actual profile page, like a high-converting landing page. Like when someone new lands there, can they figure out what you sell and how to buy it in, 3 seconds?
Absolutely. If your bio is full of vague, poetic descriptions, you're wasting prime real estate, that first impression. Stop being poetic. Start being clear, commercially focused, spreading joy through fashion. Tells me nothing useful if I want to buy. But a bio that says, custom jewelry, ready to ship, shop our bestsellers below, use code WELCOME10. Okay, now I know what you sell, that I can buy it now, how to start, and I get an incentive, everything I need.
But wait a second, isn't there a risk there? Being too transactional right up front, could that scare away people who are just browsing, still in that discovery phase? Is there any room for, a little poetry, or is pure clarity the only way?
That's a good question. But I'd argue clarity is discovery for someone who might actually buy. They want to know quickly if you solve their problem and if buying is easy. If a clear call to action scares them off, they probably weren't going to buy anyway. They were just browsing.
Mm.
And the most common mistake we see with profiles, that link in bio strategy where it just goes to the generic homepage, it forces the customer to hunt.
Yeah, that feels lazy, definitely ineffective.
Totally.
Yeah.
You absolutely have to match the content you just posted to the destination link. Talking about your new fall collection, the link needs to go directly to that collection page. And make sure that page is simple, mobile optimized, ideally on your own site. Plus, don't forget the free tools. Use Instagram highlights, pin your best offers, customer testimonials, FAQs, maybe videos showing your process on TikTok. Those pinned videos shouldn't just be your most viral dance. Pin the videos that historically drove the most conversions. Use your data.
Yeah, the data really backs us up. We worked with a skincare brand, mid-sized. They just swapped their generic homepage link for one single link to a bestsellers page. Same followers, same content strategy otherwise, but they saw a 40% jump in Instagram-driven sales that month just by removing that one point of friction.
Exactly. Okay, so now let's get into the really interesting part, the content itself. We've got to stop just creating free entertainment for the platforms. Every single post, every reel, every story, it needs to somehow move the potential buyer a step closer to actually purchasing.
Okay, so if we're not just making free entertainment, what does content that sells actually look like day to day?
Right. We usually break it down into four main types. First, educate to sell. This is where you show your product or service actively solving a real-world problem. Think a cleaning service posting dramatic before and after photos. That beats a generic Happy Monday post every single time because it builds trust and it demonstrates why someone needs this service. You're educating them out of just scrolling past.
Okay, makes sense. Second type.
Make them visualize. People need to be able to picture themselves successfully using your product, integrating it into their own lives.
So less like a perfect catalog photo.
Exactly. Ditch those hyperstage shots sometimes. Use more lifestyle content. Show your products in realistic but still maybe aspirational situations. This helps the customer jump that mental hurdle of, yeah, but will this actually work for me?
Mm-hmm.
We saw this luxury diffuser brand double its conversions. They switched from just pretty product shots to showing customer unboxing videos, the diffuser in real homes. It made visualization easy.
Nice. Okay, third type leverages social proof. Basically letting others do the selling for you.
Yes, exactly. Outsource your sales pitch. Screenshot those glowing 5-star reviews. Repost customer success stories or photos. Share DMs where people rave about how your product changed things for them. Social proof is incredibly powerful. It validates the purchase decision and reduces that perceived risk far more effectively than any ad copy you could ever write.
And the fourth type, create real urgency. And you emphasize real urgency. We're not talking about those fake countdown timers, right? Because that destroys trust fast.
Right. Fake urgency is a killer. Ditch the vague limited time offer unless it truly is. Instead, use visible, believable scarcity cues. Things like only 3 spots left for our November intake if you're a service provider, or maybe showing actual inventory numbers if they're low. Real urgency gives that final nudge to someone who's basically ready to buy but might just, put it off.
Okay. Moving into maybe a tougher reality for some businesses, organic reach alone is pretty much dead if you're serious about predictable, scalable sales. So we have to talk paid ads, but how do we do it smartly? How do we stop just, funding Zuckerberg's next yacht without seeing a return?
Smart advertising targets buyers, not just random strangers. The absolute most effective place to start: warm audiences. Remarketing. Target people who've already visited your website. Especially focus on those who looked at pricing pages or specific product pages. Why? Because they're low cost to reach and they convert much higher. They already know who you are. They just need a little reminder, maybe a small incentive.
Got it. So that person who looked at the blue sneakers 3 times but didn't buy, that's exactly who we put our ad money towards first.
Precisely. And you let the platforms do the heavy lifting here with dynamic product ads, or DPA. DPA basically means the platform automatically creates and shows an ad featuring the exact product that user looked at on your site. Maybe it adds a little offer like free shipping just for you.
Mm-hmm.
It automates that retargeting process, which saves a massive amount of time compared to manually creating dozens of different ads.
Okay, that's powerful. And the final piece of this smart paid strategy, cloning your best customers.
Yep. Lookalike audiences. This is gold. You upload a list of your actual customers, the people who've already spent money with you. Then the platform's algorithm goes out and finds new people who share similar demographics, interests, and online behaviors. Trust me, a 1% lookalike audience built from your purchasers will outperform broad interest targeting people interested in wellness every single time. It focuses on commercial intent.
And that should dramatically lower the cost to acquire a customer, right? Like that German moving company example. They stopped the generic ads, just remarketed a 10% off offer to people who got a quote but didn't book.
3 times more bookings. And they cut their cost per acquisition in half.
Yeah.
That's an intelligent revenue strategy using paid ads.
So, okay, the content and the ads get people interested, maybe get them to raise their hand. But what happens next is critical. This is where you say we need to engage, like a salesperson. Not a celebrity. Followers aren't just fans applauding. They're potential customers signaling intent when they DM or comment. Right, but that sounds potentially exhausting, especially for a small business owner. And I've seen attempts to solve the speed issue with really rigid bots. And it just backfires, feels totally cold and impersonal. How do you get that speed without sounding like a badly programmed robot?
You have to treat every single message like potential money in the bank. If someone DMs asking, is this available in size 9? That person has their wallet out, basically. If you take 3 days or even 5 days to reply, they've already bought it from your competitor who answered within an hour. Speed is absolutely essential. You need to be checking messages multiple times a day.
So the key is finding that balance between efficiency and personalization.
Exactly. Use templates, sure, for the common questions, pricing, sizing charts, shipping info. But always customize them slightly. Start with, hi, Sarah. Great question. Yes, we ship to Texas. Add their name. Maybe reference something specific if you can. Give the info clearly, then maybe ask a closing question to keep the conversation moving, like, did you have a particular style in mind?
And really focusing on turning those everyday interactions into actual sales conversations, not just, hearting a comment.
Definitely not just hearting. If someone comments, love this, respond. Ask them, oh, fantastic, which color is your favorite? If they ask about the price in comments, tell them the price right there, then maybe ask, would you like me to DM you some similar options in your budget? Your comment section, your DMs, they should function like a helpful, busy sales floor, not just a place for applause.
Okay, nearly there. Let's talk about making the buying process itself easier by using the platform's own tools. If you're not using social commerce features, you're essentially forcing customers to jump through extra hoops, aren't you?
You absolutely are. And every single extra click you make someone do, it slashes your conversion rate, sometimes significantly. You need frictionless buying. Set up Facebook shops, Instagram shops. It turns your profile into a mini storefront. And crucially, use product tagging in every relevant story and reel. Tag the actual product. This completely eliminates that annoying link in bio hunt. People see it, they like it, they tap it, they buy it. Instant. And just a quick note, for anyone selling to younger demographics, really pay attention to TikTok Shop right now. It's still relatively new, and early adopters are seeing real money being made there.
And the final piece tying this all together, none of it matters if we don't track, measure, and adjust. You just can't optimize what you're not measuring properly.
Stop running your social media based on gut feelings. You have to focus intensely, almost obsessively, on the metrics that actually define success. Return on ad spend, ROAS, click-through rate, CTR, conversion rate from social. Your gut feeling about which post performed best, it's probably wrong half the time. The data, however, never lies. Remember that e-commerce brand example? They were spending maybe 80% of their content creation time perfecting their feed aesthetic. Looked beautiful. But their analytics clearly showed 90% of their actual sales were coming from their quick, less polished stories.
Wow. So they were putting the vast majority of their effort into the content that generated only 10% of their revenue. That's devastatingly inefficient.
It's an operational failure, plain and simple. So what do? They immediately flipped their strategy based on the data, much more focused on high-volume stories, more story ads. They kind of abandoned the feed perfectionism. And guess what? Revenue jumped 2.8 times in just 6 weeks. Same team, same budget. They just started focusing on what the numbers proved work, not what felt good or looked popular.
Okay, so pulling this all together, what's the big takeaway here? Social media isn't just about building a brand anymore, is it? It's very clearly where sales are happening now.
That's exactly it. The shift required is simple in concept, but maybe challenging in practice. Move your whole social operation from being a popularity contest focused on likes to being a highly focused sales channel driving actual cash. Those followers you gathered, they're either potential customers or, frankly, they're just noise. There's really no profitable middle ground anymore.
It really boils down to focus, doesn't it? Not just time management. Your followers, the ones who are genuinely interested, they're probably ready to buy. The real question is, are you ready to sell? is your process, your funnel, completely frictionless. So if you're listening and you're ready to stop spreading your energy across 6 different vanity metrics and instead apply it laser-focused on the one friction point that's likely losing you money right now, here's our advice. Pick one simple thing from our discussion today. Maybe it's fixing your bio link so it goes to the right promotion. Maybe it's finally setting up Instagram shopping. Or maybe it's just committing, really committing to answering your DMs within the hour. Pick one and do it today, not next week.
Because honestly, every day you wait, you're essentially paying for social media twice. Once in the time and effort you spend creating content, and again in the sales you're losing to the competitor who just makes it that tiny bit easier to click buy.
So if you're ready to transform your social media from a maybe sometimes works expense into a reliable, predictable sales machine that generates real revenue, we at DTS, Digital Time Savers, we can help your business cut through the noise, stop the guesswork, and start measuring and improving what truly matters.
Book your discovery call with us today. Let's take a look together and see exactly how much money you might be leaving on the table. We can show you precisely where to focus your efforts for the maximum return, turning those followers into paying customers.